So today we're going to be showing you how to make a near perfect steak. These steaks are actually bought at Walmart. Believe it or not, they actually do sell good meat. Even though it's Walmart, I thought the same thing until I actually bought meat from there and it was delicious. So we're going to be using the ribeye. The ribeye is my favorite cut of meat and it should be yours too. It comes from the rib part of the cow. You see how it's a lighter red type of color? That's due because the rib doesn't use that much muscle or anything. It's not being used as often. If it's more dark red like the brisket part of the cow that's always swinging around, it's towards the belly of the cow, it's going to be darker red pigment. This is light red, which means it's going to be more tender, which, you know, if you look at veal compared to an older cow, it's going to be lighter red. Also the marbling, this white stuff, that's fat, and that's going to melt into the meat when it cooks and it's going to be delicious. So also in Australia and New Zealand it's called the Scotch fillet, for those of you who aren't from America. Well, and what I did was I let this sit for about a good 30 minutes, and that's what you're going to want to do. You want this to be at room temperature, that way when it cooks evenly and a lot faster. So I'm going to open this up and we're going to use a seasoning mix. You know, usually with the ribeye and people saying perfect steak, all you need is salt and pepper, which you could use. It's still going to be delicious. I'm going to use a seasoning mix that I like. I like to call it the Big Five. And what we have is paprika, onion powder, garlic powder, salt, fresh cracked black pepper. You don't want that store-bought pepper that's already cracked for you. This is going to give you a lot more flavor. And when you're using meat, thick cuts of meat, or like a steak or even chicken, you're going to want it more coarse. So it's thicker pieces of peppercorn. And we're also going to use a little bit of olive oil. That way everything sticks together and it doesn't, you know, your steak doesn't get stuck to the grill when it's cooking. Also, we're going to grill this, by the way. And we have some butter here also. 2 tablespoons. I like to use a tablespoon per each on the steak, and what we're going to use that for I'll show you later. And also I like to use some garlic salt as well. It's basically the same thing as garlic powder with a couple of other things in it. So, for the steak, with the seasoning mixture you want to use about, let's say about a teaspoon of each item that I showed you. So I'm just going to eyeball it since I already kind of know what goes where. If you have a little bit extra seasoning, it doesn't hurt. So this is, by the way, this is kosher salt. You're either going to want to use kosher salt or coarse sea salt. That way, you know, thicker salt's better for thicker meat. So, and a little bit of garlic salt, some paprika, and the paprika really helps give it a bit of a smoky flavor to it. And so we're going to use a little bit of this onion powder. Not too much, because else your steak's just going to taste really oniony, and that's not what you want. Some garlic powder. And I just love the flavor of garlic, and I just put it on everything. By the way, the seasoning mixture works for just about any type of meat. Some black pepper. You don't want to use a lot of, well, not a lot, but a good amount of this. Really helps set off the flavor of your steak. Couple cracks. Like I said, about a teaspoon of each seasoning. So we got our mixture. This is about good enough for 2 steaks. A little bit more. I like a lot of black pepper on my steak. So now we're gonna season our meat, and you want to do 1 hand for seasoning. You don't want to contaminate the seasoning mixture unless you're using it on both steaks. It doesn't really matter. You don't want to, if you're going to rub it in, use this hand and this hand to grab the seasoning. So make sure it's all nice and coated with that seasoning. Rub it in a little bit if you have to. So you're going to rub in your seasoning mixture. You know, just about every side, even the sides if you want. I like to, you know, really coat my entire steak with that seasoning. This fat part. By the way, this fat, that's flavor. Those of you who don't eat your fat in your meat for health reasons, I understand, but that's the delicious part. When this part melts into it and it really gets a nice sear and kind of crusty, it's almost like beef bacon. It's delicious. So just keep that in mind. So on this part doesn't really matter, you know, when you season the fat, because it's already got enough flavor as it is, but I like to season every little bit I can. Okay, so these are ready to grill. I season them and I let them sit for about 20 minutes. And as you can see, the salt and all those seasonings melt into it, and you see it's kind of sucking the moisture out of the meat itself. That's just something that salt does. It cures. Same thing with sugar. If you put a bunch of strawberries and sugar, you'll notice that, you know, it gets all watery. It's hydrogenated something. I forgot. It's some weird chefy, you know, science term. So, but you want your grill to be really hot, and for that to happen, you close the lid. You know, turn the heat up, and then let it. You know, when the lid's closed, it's gonna get a lot hotter, a lot faster. So you want it to be really hot. You want to get a nice sear on the steak itself. So we're gonna start, and once you put it down, you should hear a good sear, like that. That's what you want to hear. You're gonna let this cook for, I'd say about, you know, these are not as thick, so I'd say about like 8 minutes on each side if you want a good medium rare. I like my steak around there, medium, more than medium rare. You know, medium rare is the main way to go, but I prefer it medium. So you can either, you know, I'm gonna close the lid, let it cook faster, and once it gets, you know, to about the 5-minute mark, you're gonna, you know, flip them and then have them get that nice hash mark. You don't have to do that, but it's a chefy thing. So I'm gonna turn the steaks over, and you get that nice crusty grill mark. And this one, nice, beautiful grill mark, sizzling, nearly done. I'm gonna try and make it medium rare, and at this point, I'm gonna add the butter. And this is going to really elevate the flavor of the steak, give it a lot of richness. It's about a tablespoon per each steak. And it's really going to melt into that and be delicious. These steaks are nearly done. The steak is done. I'm hoping it's medium rare, it feels it. Oh, that's delicious. And with these steaks, you're definitely going to want to let them rest. At least up to 5 minutes. Okay, the steak is done. Oops. So we're going to plate it with some mashed potatoes I made. If you want to see how I made those as a student, just let me know and I'll make a video on that. But we're hoping this is medium rare. I'm just going to cut right into the center of it. See, somewhere between medium and rare. I hope it's not well done or anything. And that's about medium. Medium well, maybe. See how this tastes. Extremely juicy. You let it rest. You even see in the steak all that juice just like flowing through it. None of it fell out. None of it's, you know, dripping all over the plate. Delicious, amazing flavor. You get that garlic, you get the paprika, the salt, that heavy coarse pepper. Delicious. And these are Parmesan garlic mashed potatoes, by the way. Nice, fluffy, creamy. Delicious. So that's it for this week. Let me know what you would like to see me make, and I'll attempt it.